Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X research and professional physicist. And today I'd like to bring to you another one of my articles. This one is entitled The Blood Red Moon Simulator at 30,000 feet. Now in article 150 entitled Simulated Blood Red Moon, I wrote about the fact that the moon's jagged edge, seen on the video provided by NASA of the lunar eclipse on January 31st, 2018, indicated that a moon simulator was being used. However, this article generated some questions which I would like to address or answer here. So first of all, the image I analyzed came from a high-definition video provided by NASA, which Scott shared on one of his in one of his videos on his channel, Planet X News, so anyone may go and watch it again. Now, an image of the moon seen in that video appears below. Notice that there is a NASA logo and it says Griffith Observatory over there. This image is from 2:15 into the video, and even though this is not a close-up image, we can already see there are some jagged lines, or there's a jagged edge. This is not a circular outline. And now this is the real moon. So the real moon and as seen through a telescope. So it does have some slight differences in height at the edge, but it does not have the same jagged outline as we saw in that image, which was just made out of straight lines. And we're going to look at a close-up of that image so we'll be able to see the pattern. But first of all, this real image of the moon, and most of this curved outline seems to be almost perfectly circular. Down here we see there are some differences in height. There's a slight difference there, so a little bit of a jagged edge, we could say. But this jagged edge does not seem to be produced by a straight line or by a repeated pattern. And it is possible through a telescope to see a difference in height at the edge of an image of the moon, because the moon has very high mountains, and if these are close to the edge, then we may be able to see a height change of about 0.6%. But there is no repeated pattern. If we look at a close-up, we can see that these features are rounded. They are not made by straight lines. There's no repeated pattern. If we see a feature, we don't see it repeated again. They're all different. Now, in the image, this is the image from 2 minutes and 15 seconds into the video, so it's a repeat of the image seen in figure 1. And if we look at the outline, we can definitely see straight lines and steps, straight lines, steps, straight lines, straight line, step. And the pattern seems to be repeated in reverse here. We see the same length of straight lines in the same pattern, repeated in the opposite direction that we saw there. You see that straight line there, and then a little change in slope, another straight line, then a sharp step there. It's exactly the same as what we see here. And down here there are tooth-like projections, so little steps where you step. There's a step up, a straight line, and a step down, and these are repeated. Then if we look at the image, this one is from 9 minutes and 27 seconds. We see exactly the same edge, jagged edge made out of straight lines and steps. No roundedness apparent, just a repetition of the pattern and these straight lines and the little steps. It's exactly the same edge that we saw in the image from 2 minutes and 15 seconds. So this means that this pattern cannot be produced by atmospheric turbulence. It is there in these two images, and if you watch the video, it's there between the two images. Now, if we look at a close-up of, this is the image from figure 4, so it's the same one as we saw in figure 1, and we can more clearly see the pattern of straight lines here and steps and the tooth-like projections, which are all formed out of straight lines and steps as well. And in the bottom right hand side, we can see again the tooth-like projections made out of straight lines and steps. Straight lines and steps, so there's a repeated, this pattern is repeated, which we do not see in the real moon. So this object cannot be a real moon. In large objects, very large objects, and we're going to calculate what its diameter might be, it's very difficult to form a perfectly curved edge, because they have to be formed out of different parts that are put together. So in this case, it's easier to form a rounded edge with straight lines, and this seems to be what was done with this object. So the moon's radius is 1,737 kilometers, and its minimum distance to Earth is 363,104 kilometers. Then the moon's angular width in the skies above Earth would be given by delta theta m, which is twice the radius divided by the distance between the Earth and the moon. And then a moon simulator of diameter d operating at altitude h would have an angular width delta theta s given by d over h. If we equate the two, that is, we are saying that we want the simulator to have exactly the angular width as the real moon, and we therefore equate the two equations, solve for the diameter and plug in the numbers given, and say, well, for simulator that's designed to operate at 30,000 feet, for h we plug in 30,000 feet, and we get a diameter of 287 feet. And this is just slightly larger than the longest Boeing 747, which is 263 feet in length. But if it is designed to operate at 45,000 feet, then its diameter should be 430 feet. Now, this image is in regard to the sun, and what we see here, it looks like the sun. This seems to be a bank of dark clouds here. Then there is a break in the clouds, and there is some white cloud. There seems to be some brightness. At first it seems like the sun is behind these clouds, and therefore it's causing this brightness to appear on the clouds. However, the sun is down here. And if there was a sun shining here and producing this kind of light pattern, then we should be able to see it in the break between the clouds, and we do not. And this means that therefore the only way that this brightness could be produced is if it's a reflection. In other words, the light source below it is producing light which is being reflected off these clouds, and this means the light source is below the clouds, and therefore that the light source is not the real sun, it's a sun simulator. And it must therefore be at below 45,000 feet, because that's the maximum height at which clouds are formed. Now in this image we can see the sun simulator again. It's operating within the clouds at cloud altitude, because we have clouds in front of it and clouds behind it. You can clearly see if this was cloud in front of it, that it continue across its surface. It does not. So this is a cloud. This cloud here is behind the sun simulator, and this cloud here is in front of it. And we can see that it's got a non-circular edge, let's put it that way. It's definitely it's jagged. There's a difference there at the edge, a difference in height. You can see a slight straight line pattern here, step and a straight line, step and a straight line. So this is a sun simulator, or this is probably the same type of device as was used to simulate the moon in the blood red moon video, but here it's operating as in sun mode. So it's simulating the sun, and it's likely to this device is likely to be somewhat like this. In other words, this is the front view, it looks circular, and in the side view we can see it's basically a disc. It may have a housing with a power source and a driving system behind it. So such devices may actually be operating as part of a grid system, which moves with respect to the ground at a constant speed. And so please see the article 123, The Biggest Scientific Cover-Up, Our Sun, for more details. In conclusion, a moon simulation device was used in the footage provided by NASA of the red blood moon event on January 31st, 2018. Such a device would require a diameter of about 300 feet if it is designed to work at 30,000 feet. This is Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X physicist. Thank you for watching.